So, what I have been sort of saying all along, 2 or 3 years ago, is we somehow need three distinct categories of classification. That way we can start to model how much volume is increased, to what degree is IQ increased, mass, etc. So if we look at like biomass, that's cool. But what's really interesting is that you'll start getting higher highs and in theory lower lows. It's like decay upon decay, emergence upon emergence, growth upon growth. And that can lead us to potentially a post-microscope, post-telescope world of analyzing nature using especially machine learning and AI. Because basically, the microscope and the telescope brought us these concepts of what are the most basic building blocks of nature, what are the most basic units that we can all agree upon. They just happen to be, in a somewhat abstract sense, what's most stable. This isn't a wave and a particle, it's always just a particle. It seems to always have the same mass. This varies radically, but this does seem to be the most basic unit of biology, the basis of multicellular organisms. Similar to like astrophysics, it's like, well, so all electromagnetic radiation taps out at 186,000 miles per second. That's super radical and mind-blowing. Like, none of it ever goes faster. We can slow it down based upon if it's moving through a Bose-Einstein condensate, but we can't do anything to speed it up except for warping, pinching, expanding space-time. That gives it, you know what I'm trying to say. And relativistic, that's super interesting. But what's right in front of us sitting on the table is maybe a little bit different way of analyzing nature that is easier, more intuitive, readily available in terms of the next field of science being grand unification theory, theory of everything. You all know me. I'm like, let's make it stupid simple where I can use it and my offspring can use it and blind people can use it. So let's not make it color coded because we can make it more simple than that. It's just when we talk about emergence, we have to start agreeing upon exactly which symbols to use and exactly why. Well, we want to make it like insanely intuitive. So we pretty much have to peg I as nuclei. That way we combine nuclear mechanics based upon nuclei and nucleus. From microbiology, if a system is under stress, it becomes asexual versus social or heterosexual. And then the field of atomic physics, atomic chemistry, borrowed from microbiology, and that's all great. We all know that. But we got to put that back in. So we pretty much have to peg I as nuclei from a nucleus. And it still doesn't quite add up, but we're getting closer. So it's like, basically you have the emergence of, I would come up with the term cellulation, which I just invented that word just now. But basically, if you analyze things from the perspective of microscope and telescope, it's always reductionistic instead of basically like playing around with exponentialities in a way that can be quantified. And then ultimately, after you quantify them, you need to classify them. We don't do that now in science, by the way. But I think once we start doing that, if we start doing that, then, for lack of a better word, we can accurately predict when things pop in and out of existence, which it might actually be more simple than we think, even though it sounds like magical and, well, we only use microscopes and telescopes. And in terms of cancer, like if something gets big enough where it gives off a great enough heat signature, we have devices that can detect it. And it's like, okay, that's all great and dandy, but what if we're missing the point that things may have intelligence from a high dynamics perspective and could basically fool you and hide, just like animals in the ocean can like disguise themselves and move around. They're here, then they're there in quantum physics. And what if we start to create a model that can predict when things exactly hide, pop in and out of existence, and basically how they're doing it?